Alrighty, it's time. BT's game of the week. BT, you went in the twos last week. Good to have you back on board. I know you're ready to go for this one. What's the game of the round, mate?
St Kilda versus Geelong. It's a crucial game, I think, for both teams. If Geelong lose this, then they could be fighting for a final spot. I think the team who wins this, especially St Kilda, they need to win it, losing their last two. So it should be a cracking game. Max King versus Jezza Cameron and Hawkins. Top quality key forwards in this game. I think there's the big matchup, well, not matchup, but comparison would be Jack Higgins versus Stengel. I think that's going to be a crucial one.
Two forward pockets, BT, that have really come out of the woodwork this year and I think really exceeded expectations for both clubs.
Yeah, they're both playing very well, especially Stengel being first year at Geelong, quality player. The interesting stat that I came across was Jack Higgins is one of the top players for pressure acts. So he averages around 15, 16 pressure acts a game, where Stengel averages around the 13. So that's crucial, I think, locking that ball inside. It's going to be a real contested type game, I think. So that's where I think these midfields are going to, that's where it's going to come down to. We can talk about these forwards, key forwards, big forwards, but I think it's the midfield that's going to come down to. So we've got Guthrie, Dangerfield, Parfitt, and Geelong, and Selwood coming up against Steele, Crouch, Ross, and Gresham. Pretty similar based on names, probably lean towards Geelong. But if you look at the stats, it points towards St Kilda. If you're looking at contested possessions just talking about these four, not over team, just these four. For St Kilda, they average between those four 43 contested possessions, where Geelong, those four, average around 39-40. So that little bit more. St Kilda average about 6-7 more tackles between these four players. And the big one, what I came across was the last 5 games. Points against each team. Geelong's always been known for a pretty good defence, but they've conceded an average of 86 points the last 5 games, where St Kilda's averaged 71. I know there was that shitty-ass game up in Cairns, but I know that obviously that factors in. But there was obviously a lot of behinds kicked in that game. But based on stats, if you were looking at this game purely on stats, you would slight lean to St Kilda.
And they've got a ruckman that's going to give them first use as well. Marshall had a couple of injury issues in the last week, but assuming that he's, back and at full fitness, probably one of the top, I'd say probably one of the top 5 ruckmen in the competition. So he gives them a really good advantage there in the middle of the Saints, and obviously backed up by Paddy Ryder, who, despite his old age, is no slouch either.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely cracker game, I think. I think it's going to be a reasonably low-scoring type game. And I've given St Kilda pretty harsh bashing this season, but they've proved me wrong. The game against Port Adelaide, I think you can cross that game out. That was just a terrible game that should not have been up in Cairns. But Geelong's been pretty disappointing in a couple of games as well. So it's definitely the game of the round.
Steve, do you think there's any scenario where either of these two teams don't make finals? And if so, which team is the most likely to miss finals?
I think both will make finals from what we've seen so far. But if one team is to not make finals, I think it might be St Kilda. I agree with everything BT said, and I can't argue against the stats. But I think Geelong, they've got just too much firepower up top in Hawkins and Cameron to miss out on a spot in the 8. In my personal opinion, I don't think either of them will.
As you said, Cats are the number 3 team in the competition for scoring, and the 2 teams above them have both played the Eagles. So that's obviously a pretty handy advantage. Tazza, a tip from you. This is a close game. What are your thoughts?
Being at Marvel, I'm going to back the Saints in here, I think. The one bit that worries me, I think St Kilda are a little too reliant on Max King. So he's going to have to get up. He's going to have to play out of his skin for them to have any chance. And yeah, I'd probably put the Saints, their midfield, I'd probably put it just on top, given what BT said. But Max King's going to have a blinder to get it done.
Yeah, I'm going Saints as well. I think Marvel is the big deciding factor here. If it was at MCG, I probably would have lent to Geelong. But I think the quickness of Marvel Stadium, I think it's going to suit the younger legs of St Kilda. I think that's what it's going to come down to.
I'm going to back the Cats for what I said before. Just too much firepower up top. I mean, you boys have more football, AFL knowledge than me. You almost tipped me to St Kilda with what you just said at the end there, BT. But stick to the guns. I'd stick to Geelong.
That's right, Steve. I'm backing you in. I'm going with you. I'm going with the Cats as well. I just think
2v2.
2v2. Here we go. And I just think if King doesn't have a big game, like I said in the hits, misses, and hold fire segment, if King doesn't fire, the Saints aren't going to win this. And I think that Geelong down back, they've got the pieces there to cover it. De Koning has played really well considering, this is realistically his first continuous stint of games. Blitzarg is obviously a quality key defender. Tom Stewart, he's going to be guarding space as that third tall. So I think the Cats will have a plan for him. I don't think he's going to have the influence that the Saints need to win this game, and I can't see where else their goals are going to come from. Cats for me, 2v2. I like it, fellas. In the comments, let us know who you think is going to win this game. Are you with BT and Tazza? Are you with me and Steve? Should be a really cracking game, this one, and we can't wait to see it.